Ladies and buffaloes. Andy here. It's the Inner Winner Show. Let's fucking go. Doing another reaction video to the Instagram account Bad Boy. Look at me struggling to say basic words. Bad Boy Lifestyle Official. If you're not familiar with this series, I go through this Instagram account, and I'm going to do other ones in future. I've already got a couple lined up. And I basically read out some of their posts and react to some of them. The point isn't to shit on these guys. They have a few posts that I think are just a little bit goofy, but they have some that are really, really, really good. And so the point here is I kind of just go through them. I point out the ones that I think are good, the ones I think are bad, kind of do a reaction. Let's get started. So the first one, the first post is lead her emotions. And I'm also going to show you another one that they did, which is pretty similar, which says emotions are contagious. Whatever you feel, she will feel as well. I kind of like the concept here of what they're talking about, which is a lot of the time, women, generally speaking, are the more agreeable sex. And if you're feeling something or if you're leading, we'll just talk about emotions. Whatever you're feeling, a lot of the time, she will kind of mirror. That happens a lot. It's probably just more an agreeability thing more than anything else, and wanting to go with the flow, taking cues from the man, that kind of stuff. But if you're in a good mood, most of the time the woman that you're on a date with or in a relationship with will be as well. If you're in a bad mood, she'll kind of bounce off of that energy. It's kind of your job, in most cases, let's just say it's your job, we'll say it like that, to be leading her. So I like the way they phrase this. I like that they're talking about like leading her emotions, and also that her emotions are contagious. And generally speaking, whatever you're feeling, she'll kind of bounce off. So if you want her to have a good time, like, you got to be in a good mood. I think this kind of applies both ways as well. I'm sure there'd be some women listening that'd go like, yeah, but it kind of goes the other way as well. Sure, definitely. Just remember that generally speaking, this podcast is for men. Like if women you're listening, awesome. But the advice I give often is particularly aimed at men. So guys, if you're listening to this, if you want her to have a good time, you have a good time. If you want her to be in a good mood, you be in a good mood. If you want her to be happy, you be happy. Kind of like she'll take the cues from you. So when you go on a date, put yourself in that positive mindset, start thinking positively, have a good time. And you'll find most women bounce off you. And when you're in a bad mood, you'll find most women bounce off that and they're kind of in a bad mood. The next one is, I kind of agree with this one. I think we could also relate it back to the previous episode that I did. So I'll read out this post. It says, remember, she needs you more than you need her. There was a previous one that was somewhat similar to this. I kind of like this one. You kind of want to get yourself to a point of view where you have you kind of want to get yourself to a point where you have abundance, where you don't necessarily like need any one particular woman. That doesn't mean you don't want them. It's more like you have your own life going on. Now, I would be very careful to balance that with not getting to a point where you just think that all women are discardable and like, I'm never going to build a connection with anyone. I'm never going to keep any woman around for a long period of time because, like, what's the point? I can just go and find another one. That will probably lead you to a lonely life. So you do want some balance where you don't like need women, but you want women. There's not really much more that needs to be said with that one. And these last one, this is going to be probably a short episode. I say that. I bet you'll go on a fucking 20-minute rant, but these are kind of the last ones that I'm just kind of scraping together and we'll go through and then we can kind of call this Instagram done. It's been a pretty long series. I think we've done like 8 of these so far. And some of them have been great. Some of their posts I disagree with. Most of them, I actually think I agree more than I disagree with a lot of what they say. The next one is give her attention, sexual attention. I don't think you're supposed to read the word comma, but you guys on the audio would not know there's a comma there unless I said comma. There's no full stop, by the way. Now, this next one I really fucking like. It says in the description, I once read an interesting book about sexuality by some doctor. She said, men get turned on by women. Women get turned on by men getting turned on by them. Absolutely fucking true. Like, absolutely true. The more women you sleep with, the more experience you get. You realize, like, a lot of women's sexuality is being desired. Men like to desire, as in we like to desire the woman. We like to get turned on by her. We like to look at her. We like the way she moans, the way she looks, her tits, her pussy, all that kind of stuff. Women like you looking at them. They like being the object of sexual attention. They like being lusted after. They like being wanted. They like feeling pretty. They like feeling sexy. That's why I talk about all the time when I'm talking about how to dirty talk. I say, give a bunch of compliments, like give a bunch of praise. Say like, holy shit, you're so hot. Oh my God, I love your body. I love the way you do that. You sound so good when you moan. Like give compliments, make her feel wanted and lusted. It's the best way to turn a woman on, honest to God. Like this shit. It's another reason why in the Tinder guide that I have, I talk about what to do if you're nervous about like inviting her back to your apartment. So you're on a date, you're like, how do I get her back to my apartment? I have a trick, and I'm going to do a podcast on this in the future at some point. The trick is called I want you. And you basically in your head, you look at her and you start thinking, I want you, I want you. You start repeating it in your head, I want you, I want you, I want you. You get yourself kind of turned on by her. Like you start looking at her and you're like, holy shit, like she's so hot. I want to get her back to my apartment. That gives you the confidence 99% of the time to just like throw it out there and say like, yo, do you want to come back to my place and hang out? And a lot of the time she can sense that you're into her and she'll be like, yeah, sure. Sometimes she won't, fine. Then you try again on the next date, you know what I mean? But lusting after a woman is the best way to turn her on. It also turns you on like crazy. And you'll find this the more experience you get. As I said, most women really like you being turned on by them rather than the kind of stuff that we get turned on by. Yes, they get attracted or they get turned on by a good looking guy or a dick or anything like that, but nowhere near the way that guys do. Like we can just look at a pair of tits and go like, oh my God, I have an erection. Women don't just like look at your pecs and get erect. Women don't get erect. They just get wet. You know what I mean? They're not going to look at your pecs and get wet. It's more like a greater thing. Like they'll look at your pecs and go like, oh, he's strong. I bet he could do this and this and this to me. I bet he could. Like they have to fantasize a little more. Whereas we can just look at the actual tits, nothing else, just the tits in isolation and get turned on. So we'll move on to the next one, which is fuck her so good that she keeps coming for more. And they've misspelled the word coming. Coming should have two M's. Cumming. But I like the attempt here. I do want to make it clear. Obviously, having better sex means she's more likely to keep coming back, right? Like, I think that goes without saying. That's like saying going to Disneyland and going on some amazing rides makes you want to go back to Disneyland again. Yeah, obviously. She's meeting you for sex, or sex is a part of a relationship, or if it's casual, most of the reason she's meeting you is for sex. If it's good, she's going to come back. Duh. But I do want to add in the caveat that please don't think you have to be some sort of sex god. When we talk about, these guys haven't talked about it here, but when I in particular talk about being good at sex, it's not that you have to like fuck her brains out or be a sex god or be the best person in the world at foreplay or any of that. It's more like you're willing to experiment. You're willing to try some shit. You're willing to ask questions, not like physically. Okay, you could verbally and physically ask her a question. Like, what are you into? What do you want to try? Is there anything you've always been into? That shit works. Get her to write a bucket list of things she wants to try. But even just asking yourself, like, what stuff would turn me on? What would happen if I try this? What would happen if we try this position? What about this position? What about this? What about that? Like experimenting, trying a bunch of shit. The only reason I got decent at sex was I went out, I tried a million different things, experimented in a million different ways, and I figured stuff out over time. I was never like the sex god. No one ever is. You don't just like walk into sex and immediately know what you're doing. I think there's this weird misconception that guys who are good at sex must just be like sex gods. It's like, no, it's just a willingness to try a bunch of different shit. So if you want to fuck her so good that she keeps coming back for more, you don't even have to do this amazing job. You just have to be open-minded and willing to try a bunch of different stuff. I did a podcast, and I'll link to it in the description below, called How to Give Her Roller Coaster Sex. Go and listen to that. That's got a million different things you can try, a million different techniques. And the main gist of that podcast is just try a bunch of shit. Honestly, just try a bunch of stuff. See what you like, see what she likes. You figure each other out over time. The sex gets better over time. All right, the next one is don't try to understand women. They can't understand themselves. Fucking hate this one. This is the worst misconception. I'm sure every woman listening to this is like, shut the fuck up, you fucking retard. I know most women don't talk like that, but they probably will if you say this shit. And any guy who's ever slept with a fucking more than 0 women, that's not, I'm fucking taking the piss there. Any guy who slept with a decent number of women will tell you like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't understand women. Are you fucking retarded? Yes, you can. Like women are very easy to understand. Like very fucking easy to understand. Very easy. as easy as men, maybe more, maybe less, but pretty much the fucking same. And as for they can't understand themselves, yes, they fucking can. I think what they're trying to say here is that women are emotional. And that's kind of what they've written in the description, where they say, women are always in a constant fight with themselves, logic versus emotions, the battle of their lives. I mean, like, yes and no. Women are very fucking capable of logic. The way I look at it is a lot of women will default to an emotion. They'll feel they feel emotions stronger than we do. So a lot of the time they are quicker to get emotional, but you can very easily get them to fucking calm down, right? Like, women are absolutely capable of logic. They are absolutely capable of understanding themselves, for fuck's sakes. They're aware, they are capable of self-awareness, for sure. I feel like this is the most retarded one that I've read out on this website so far. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's this weird stereotype, and I don't know, it comes from like a lack of experience with women, and it just gets perpetuated, and people just like spit it all the time. And like, I don't know why women don't jump up. No, I do know why. Generally speaking, there's a theory in the red pill that I kind of agree with, where they say like a lot of women kind of like this stereotype that like, oh, women are unknowable and you can't understand them, because that does benefit you. Think about it. If you're a woman and guys, or a lot of guys think like, oh, we can't ever know women, that kind of gives you a free pass to just be a little bit of an asshole sometimes and just do whatever the fuck you want, right? I'm not saying every woman does this, most don't. But like, if you're asking how come women don't stand up and say like, what are you talking about? We're easy to understand. It's because it kind of benefits you to pretend that you're not understandable, right? Because then the dipshit guys who are too stupid to understand or too fucking lazy to even bother to try, you kind of just get to do whatever. And if they're like, how come you're logically inconsistent? Or how come you did this before and now you're doing this? You can just be like, oh, don't try and understand me. I'm a woman. You can't understand me. I'm like this ephemeral, weird thing that's unknowable and mysterious. Like, so I get why some women wouldn't stand up, but there are plenty of women that would stand up and say like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm easy to understand. Yeah, I get a little more emotional than you guys do, but like, congratulations, you guys get emotional too. And as for this battle of like logic versus emotions, yeah, we all kind of have that battle. Yes, women, generally speaking, get more emotional than men. Fine. So they just have to try a little harder to be logical. You know what I mean? They have to do some deep meditation. They have to take a deep breath. Like Imogen gets more emotional than me, sure. So she needs to do more meditating than I do. She needs to calm down. She needs to go for more walks than me. She needs to take deeper breaths. She needs to sleep on it sometimes. It's not this like weird fucking battle all the time. Just think of this shit more like personality traits. Like, men and women are not two completely different mysterious beasts or something who can't ever possibly know each other. It's more like personality traits. And in terms of the personality trait of being emotional, women just have that more than men, generally speaking. Like, that's it. It's not that they're different or completely unknowable or mysterious or some fucking bullshit like that. It's just like, no, they're slightly more emotional. Cool. So they have to try a little harder to be logical if they're being emotional. That's it. Maybe they're a little more emotional, some women, on their periods. Cool. That's only a couple of days a month. This is such a fucking goofy post. This shit is so fucking goofy. Like, it really is goofy. It also, it's the, what's that? It's not called the tyranny. Is it called something of soft expectations? I'm going to look it up because this is going to annoy me. It's not tyranny of soft expectations? The soft bigotry of low expectations. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say here. Like, it really is bigoted. It's fucking bigoted to say like, oh, we got low expectations. People do this in America. America, you guys are so fucking bad at doing this with black people. You just have these low fucking expectations. You let them fucking play the race card all the fucking time. And then you go like, oh, but they're black. It's not fair. It's blah, blah, blah. It's harder for them. We got to do the same shit happens with women as well, right? This low expectation, it's a fucking bigoted thing to do, to just say like, oh, women can't understand themselves. They are just dumb fucking retards. How about you hold them to a higher standard? How about you say, no, you're acting fucking over the top emotional right now. Go calm down. Have a rational, logical discussion with me when you're feeling like you can. That's what I've had to do with Imogen. Fucking let's close that notification that just came up on the screen. Sometimes you have to have those conversations. You have to say like, go away, come back when you're more rational, hold them to a higher standard, hold people in general to a higher standard, right? Especially the women that you date. Don't let them pull this bullshit. And not every woman does it. I think most of the time it's the fucking guys doing it with stupid fucking shit like this that you're seeing on the screen, where they say like, oh, women can't be understood. They're all just weird and mysterious. And the woman's just going to go like, oh, okay, sure. I guess I am then. Like, stop that shit. Say like, no. I'm going to figure you out. How did I figure out women? By just fucking deciding that I was going to crack the code. And guess what? You start that process and you're like, women aren't that much different from men. They're basically exactly the fucking same with just some personality traits changed around here and there. They're not like, I used to say this like funny, wasn't that funny, but I used to say this fucking thing at the start when I first started working on all of this stuff, where I was like, I had this realization where I was like, wow, women are just humans with a pussy. Like, they're not any different. They just have a pussy. Maybe some personality traits are changed around a little bit. You've changed some of the variables a little bit. You've played with the variables. But for the most part, women are just fucking men with a pussy. So please don't buy into this bullshit of like, they can't understand themselves and we can't understand them. That's your soft bigotry of low expectations, okay? You're being a fucking dickhead in saying like, oh, I'm going to hold them to low standards because they're dumb and they're children and they're emotional, hysterical fucking losers who can't keep their shit together. My God, hold them to a higher standard. Decide like, no, I'm not going to let you be mysterious and unknowable and all that bullshit and manipulate me and be an emotional, illogical train wreck. I'm going to hold you to a higher standard. And every woman that I've had in my life that I hold to this higher standard, guess what? Every single one of, I won't say every single one of them, but like 90% of them meet that higher standard. Same with the male friends that I have that I hold to that high standard. They fucking hit that standard. And if they don't, well, get the fuck out of my life. I don't want anything to do with you. Same with the women that I interact with. I expect them to be on my level. Maybe with some of their personality traits, they have to try harder at some things. Maybe I have to try harder at some other things that they can do more easily than me. That's kind of what humans do, right? We're good at some things, bad at others. Hold them to that fucking higher standard. Hold everyone in your life to that higher standard. If they can't meet it, fine, reasonable, but just don't interact with them. Move on to the last one. Avoid high maintenance women. This kind of ties into the previous one a little bit, doesn't it? Like, if you do have a woman who's high maintenance, like she's unknowable and mysterious and, you know, she can't be logical and she's too emotional and stuff like that, yeah, just like avoid. Like, again, you kind of say the expectations you have, like, hey, I expect you not to have too much drama. If you have drama, fine, that's your thing, but I'm going to bounce. Like, I'm not up for that. You kind of give your expectations. You say the behaviors you expect. You say what you're looking for in a relationship. If she can't give you that, reasonable, fine. You guys just aren't compatible. Bounce. Go somewhere else. Go find someone who can. High maintenance women, there are some guys that get off on this shit where they seem to like the thrill of the chase. And they like women that take a lot of time and attention and this and drama and fighting and arguments and that. If that's your thing, like, fine, go for it. But as someone who used to think that was my thing, I used to think that high maintenance and crazy women and drama women were fun. Like, it was a fun story and I had to conquer them and I had to, you know, beat them and all this other shit. Until one of my friends eventually said, like, dude, why are you dating so many crazy women? And I was like, I'm not, dude. It's fun. It's like a challenge. And he's like, no, man, like, this is just ruining your fucking life. And I've talked about this on previous podcasts. I got to a point where I went away and I thought about what he said for like 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, he's fucking right. Like, why am I chasing high maintenance women? Why am I dating crazy girls? Why am I going through this shit when there's plenty of women out there who'll just be like chill, nice, decent, feminine, like normal fucking human beings, right? Why don't I go spend my time with them? And as soon as I did that, a lot of drama left my life. Basically, all the drama left my life. Life was much easier, much more fun. I could just relax and have fun with women. So if you want high maintenance women, fine. Just understand what comes with that. A lot of drama, a lot of pain. And you don't get to come on my forums or anywhere else and bitch and moan and go like, oh my God, it's not fair. Like, Sarah's making me do this. And, you know, Jessica's making me buy her dinner and all this other shit. It's like, shut the fuck up. That's what you signed up for. No one's going to listen to you complain and let you get away with it. You don't get to say, oh my God, so many struggles in my life with the women, if you're chasing high maintenance women, right? Same thing goes for women. Women, you may need to hear this more than men. If you're dating asshole guys, you're dating fuck boys, as you like to call them, guys who just pump and dump you and don't give you any commitment, abusive guys, any of that, you don't get to keep bitching about them. I'm sorry, but you don't. You don't get to sit there and go like, oh my God, these guys are assholes to me. This isn't fair. Like, you fucking chose them. Take some personal responsibility. And that ties back to the previous one that we just talked about. Hold yourself to a higher standard. You should be holding yourself to a higher standard if you want a happier life. Yeah, stop dating high maintenance men or arsehole men or abusive men or shitty men, whatever you want to call it. And guys, stop dating shitty women. I think that kind of goes without saying. And that is everything. ladies and gentlemen, we have done this whole channel or this whole Instagram account. I feel like that's everything that they had in there. Next time I do one of these, I've got a couple of other Instagrams of people that I follow, a couple of people that I've had on my podcast. One was an escort and a sex educator, and the other is a female, I guess you call her a female coach, like lifestyle coach, but she also talks about sex, like female sexuality coach and stuff like that. So I'm going to go through their Instagrams because I like their Instagrams. So like full disclosure, there's probably nothing on their Instagrams that I dislike. So it's just going to be me ranting about them for like half an hour about how much I agree with their shit. But I'll make it interesting. It'll be a good episode. I'll give my perspective on some of the stuff that they talk about. And if you like this video, what do you got to do, guys? You got to hit that. Where is it? It's like down there. You got to hit that like button, that subscribe, smash it, violate it. What do the kids say? They say smash that like button, destroy the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, like smash the fuck out of the bell notification. I want you to dismantle, not the patriarchy, but dismantle the bell notification. Abuse it, violate it, commit crimes against humanity on that like button and that subscribe button, and let's get to 1,000 subscribers. And then I can move the goalpost and say, let's get to 2,000. And then I can move it again and say 5,000. Then I can move it again and 10,000. Then I can move it